Standard reading comprehension often relies on intuition, but high-stakes exams require a more clinical approach. We're going to deconstruct this passage using the internal rules of the English language. This is PTE Reading Task 579, Settlement. We aren't here to guess. We are here to use grammatical syntax and context to secure a perfect 5 out of 5. Here is the text in its raw form. We have 5 blanks and a set of distinct vocabulary options for each. Take a moment to see the complexity of the paragraph. We are treating this as a forensic investigation. Every correct answer must be supported by a specific, provable structural reason. To solve blank 1, we have to look past the immediate sentence. Reading in a vacuum is where most test takers lose points. The preceding sentence establishes a specific set of data, 2 separate and conflicting building sentiments. This is the anchor for our first missing word. Because the text mentions 2 sentiments, and then later uses the phrase the other, our blank must provide the first half of this correlative pair. It and that function as definite pronouns referring to a single established idea, not the start of a list. What initiates a noun clause that doesn't fit the sentence's subject-verb structure. Only one can mathematically initiate the one, the other sequence required here. By inserting one, the logic of the 2 conflicting sentiments is perfectly resolved. In academic writing, pronouns are strict variables. They must point back to specific quantities or concepts established earlier in the text. Blank 2 requires an understanding of collocations, words that are habitually placed together. We need a verb that correctly connects a city to a political beginning. Protrudes describes a physical, spatial extension, which doesn't apply to an abstract beginning. Starts a beginning is redundant, and highlights a beginning implies the start had already occurred. None of these align with the monumental nature of founding a city. In English, a significant historical milestone marks a beginning. This is a fixed idiomatic pairing you should memorize. For blank 3, we look back to the magnetic attraction mentioned earlier. We need a word that describes a natural inclination to move toward that magnet. If people are being pulled like metal to a magnet, they don't hesitate. Ought would imply a moral obligation that isn't present, and turn doesn't idiomatically link with the infinitive to come in this context. When describing a general pattern of human behavior, the correct collocation is tend to. Identifying these fixed combinations allows you to bypass the confusion of similar-looking synonyms. Only one specific word combination is structurally permitted. Blank 4 sits between 2 conflicting ideas. The author claims a pattern is evident in every city, yet then states that city development is almost completely accidental. This creates a logical paradox. A clear pattern cannot be evident if the process is accidental. To make this sentence work, we need a conjunction that introduces a condition or an exception. Whereas and if fail to create the necessary exception to the rule, and whatever creates a noun clause that doesn't resolve the conflict between the 2 statements. Unless is the only word that creates the required logical hinge, stating that the pattern is visible except in cases where history has obscured it. When you see ideas clash within a single sentence, the connecting word must act as a conditional anchor. For the final blank, we look for a temporal marker. The text explicitly mentions the 19th century. Because this refers to a specific, completed point in time, we are locked into the simple past tense. Now consider the subject, Currowan. Since a town is an inanimate object, it cannot perform the act of surveying. It must be the recipient of the action. This requires the passive voice. Has been surveyed is present perfect. Had surveyed is active voice. And be surveyed lacks a tense entirely. None of these satisfy our 2-step requirement. Was surveyed is both simple past and passive, making it the only grammatically sound choice. Always use this checklist for verb blanks. First, identify the time marker to set the tense, and second, determine if the subject is the actor or the object. With our analysis complete, the passage is now logically sound. We have moved from uncertainty to a perfect score. We achieved this through 3 specific methods: using backward contextual referencing, identifying rigid collocations, and applying tense and voice rules. Apply this analytical framework to your next practice text to remove the guesswork and master the PTE reading section.